We're here to talk about Wesley Sneijder, FSG, Brendan Rodgers, the whole ordeal. This is Transfer Talk. Welcome in. My name is Chris Check. This is CLCsportsUSA. And here we are. We're going to talk about a couple of the rumors that are going around. Of course, we all know about Wesley Sneijder and Milan and Galatasaray. Inter Milan have accepted a bid from Galatasaray for Wesley Sneijder. I believe it came in at around £7.58 million. And Wesley Sneijder stalled. You know, he wants to move to the Premier League. When his move to Manchester United in 2010 fell through, you know, he stayed at Inter Milan. He's fallen out of favor. He's on $660,000 per week wages, incredibly high wages. Inter Milan are ready to get rid of him. Galatasaray offer, Inter Milan accept it. Sneijder says, no, I want to move to the Premier League. Liverpool are the forefront runners here in this move for Sneijder. However, they seem unwilling to put an offer in. Sneijder is undoubtedly going for a very cheap price for his quality, and Liverpool just seem a little bit confused this transfer market. Sneijder would almost certainly be a great buy, as our midfield, though it's not the worst in the league, is certainly lacking the creativity of such a player like Wesley Sneijder. You see in the chalkboard behind me, you see the players that I have. I have, of course, Barini, Sturridge, and Suarez, and then, of course, Lucas, Johnson, Agger, and Wisdom, of course, while Enrique is injured. But you'll notice here in this pull for up midfield up here, and that would be if I was doing two midfielders up here. You could also do another holding midfield or more of a three across midfielders. But you see I have Steven Gerrard, Jordan Henderson, Jonjo Shelvey, Wesley Sneijder, and Joe Allen. This is definitely a problem with the amount of midfielders that we have. Shelvey is very inconsistent, though when he's on, he is on. And him and Sturridge seem to afford a good partnership in the couple of games that they've played together. Steven Gerrard's getting up there in his age, though he does have the most assists on the team and has 4 goals himself. Sometimes he's inconsistent. Jordan Henderson, though he does look decent when he gets into the games, he seems to lack the hunger that he needs and the passion to just drive him to the next level. Joe Allen has come under constant criticism from me. Though he's not been a bad signing at all, Joe Allen in the last 4 or 5 games, his passing accuracy has went down exceedingly. Allen is a very small player, and sadly he just doesn't really do that much for the team. He spreads the ball around, but he never really brings any he never really creates chances, and he definitely is not a goal scorer. That is why I think Wesley Sneijder should be brought in. Personally, I would rather see Jordan Henderson and Jonjo Shelvey starting ahead Joe Allen. I think an ideal midfield 3 would be Steven Gerrard, Henderson, and Lucas. Lucas clearly isn't going to lose his place in the midfield role, and though he's not back to his best, there is not another midfielder in this team like Lucas. Sneijder would be the man that would slide the key into the lock for me. You could have to do away with this midfield dilemma that Brendan Rodgers has with some very inconsistent midfielders, and you could finally get a quality player in there, though not to say our other midfielders are garbage, that could perform. Now, I give you the fact that no matter what player you buy, I don't care if you bring in Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, just because they're one of the best players in the world, we could bring Messi in here and he could be absolutely horrid. I'm not saying that just because you're a quality player, every team works out for you. There's 11 men on that pitch, not one. But it made me think, and I was talking to Joe Mastaloni from JMast1 or whatever his channel is, Mastaloni1. And you know, we were thinking about some of the players that we've got rid of that could be very useful. How about Alberto Aquilani? Nuri Sahin. 2 of the most promising players that I think we could have used in such a big way and could have got rid of this whole problem. I think instead of buying Jordan Henderson, we should have just hung on to Aquilani. And I think instead of, you know, selling Sahin, we should have kept him. But the positives of Wesley Sneijder, bringing him in, would be so high. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Wesley Sneijder. I know it's obviously very unlikely, very improbable that we're going to bring him in. But that leads us to another issue. FSG, Brendan Rodgers, and YNWA seem kind of confused about this transfer window and what is going on between them. Obviously, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but I will say this. FSG, YNWA, and Brendan Rodgers are telling 3 different stories about the amount of money that we're able to spend this transfer window. YNWA and Brendan Rodgers and all of them, Rodgers seems to think that there's hardly any money to spend, that there's not really going to be any other players brought in, where FSG seem to portray the fact that there is money to be spent. What is going on here? FSG have been a little bit incompetent for me in the last few months, and I'm not at all pleased with the way that they've handled this. 15 days, 16 days into the transfer window, we've brought in 1 player. Our squad needs more players. Like Brendan Rodgers said, we might be 24 points behind Manchester United, but we're not 24 points behind in quality. But sadly, this team is not going to get any higher up in the table until we bring in new squad players. And right now, FSG, YNWA, and Brendan Rodgers are doing none of that. I don't really think it's Rodgers' fault because as a manager, he always wants to bring more players in. So something is going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but it is leading me to question FSG in the slightest bit. That is it for this transfer talk. Really just talking about Sneijder. Do you think he would fit into this team? Do you think he'd be a success to this team? What are your thoughts on Wesley Sneijder, and what do you think the chances are that we could actually bring him in? I think they're very low, if not non-existent, as a deal with Galatasaray seems almost intimate. That is it. CLC Sports USA. My name is Chris Check. Subscribe, comment, and like all down below. Thank you guys for watching this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. For all you Reds fans out there, remember that you'll never walk alone.